First of all, I just love being with you guys. So thanks for having me again. This song is about when all your dreams come true and you realize that's not really what life's about necessarily. I heard you give out grace like candy. I wonder if you saved a piece for me. I'm all done with my to-do list. I'm prepared to wait here at your feet. Strangers, they may laugh, well, I don't care. I used to be crazy too. Took me a while to come to my senses. Oh, now the only thing that makes sense is you. And I don't have to be a millionaire to understand that there's more to life than money. I don't have to know the man of my dreams to see that even romance ain't enough for me. And all the beauty and success I always prayed for just to compensate for a love I wanted way more. And all my dreams are getting old, and all I want is to be here, to be here, yeah, yeah, yeah. I spent a long time with the numbers. I figured out that I don't know a thing. Nothing lights me up like it used to do, and I think you know why. 'Cause love makes us do crazy things. I got questions I wanna ask you, each one deeper than the last. But I don't have to be a millionaire to understand that there's more to life than money. I don't have to know the man of my dreams to see that even romance ain't enough for me. And all the beauty and success I always prayed for just to compensate for a love I wanted way more. And all my dreams are getting old. I got questions I wanna ask you, each one deeper than the last. But see, I don't even need an answer. No, 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 no. I just wanna be there when I ask. 'Cause I don't have to be a millionaire to understand that there's more to life than money. I don't have to know the man of my dreams to see that even romance ain't enough for me. And all the beauty and success I always prayed for just to compensate for a love I wanted way more. And all my dreams are getting old, and all I want is to be here.
Thank you, Jesse. That was so beautiful. And so let's take a deep breath together. And as we exhale, just centering ourselves right here, right now. Closing your eyes if you're comfortable. Relaxing your shoulders. Just gently breathing at a comfortable pace. Imagining that picture of the nighttime sky in your mind. Beautiful stars, twilight. The sky is clear. And yesterday's new moon is coming into just little bits of light. It's waxing crescent. And so just as we are aligned with all of nature, we're one with everything, we can see this moon as an opportunity for resetting, thinking about the theme of the new moon, where it's completely dark, it's emptying. So this is a metaphor for letting go. So as you breathe and exhale, just think about letting go all the tension from your physical body, where you might be storing emotional tension, worries, concerns about the future or the past. That's all in our minds. Let's just let that go. Just invite that to just fall away from you. Releasing and clearing what's no longer needed so we can be filled with the light. And just viewing this new moon as a state of pure potential. It's not empty at all. It's full of possibilities, full of vibration, full of potential. It's Eden consciousness. It's fertile ground upon which we will plant whatever we want to. And like the moon now, we're inviting in more and more light each day. And so I ask, what are you inviting in? Are you inviting in intelligence, perhaps beauty, guidance, love, forgiveness, repair, acceptance, abundance, God's grace? What are you inviting? Just open up your hands. If they're on top of your knees, just open up your hands to just invite in. I'm open. I'm willing. I'm excited for what's to come. I welcome the light. I'm excited for this opportunity to reset and begin again every day, recognizing my divine nature as a dynamic thing. So let's go into the silence for about a minute, into this fertile ground as we visualize bringing down, as our ancestors did, bringing down the energy of the new moon within us. With each breath, opening up our hearts, And just imagining now the sun rising after a long night, and visualizing your hands and your heart opening like the petals of a flower to accept the sunlight of a new day, a new dawning, new possibilities. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be aligned with nature. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to remember and remember to remember the divinity of who I am in this vast field of possibilities. And so it is. This is a cover slide of Lysa's book, and she doesn't always have that look on her face, the serious look. She's a wonderful, joyous soul. You'll get to experience that in a moment. But this book I'll talk about, it's very consequential. Lysa Allman-Baldwin is a gifted and sought after speaker, workshop facilitator, author, and writer. For over 25 years, Lysa has written travel and feature articles for numerous print and online publications. A few years ago, in her travels, she crossed paths with a very personal inner journey, which resulted in her new book, I Cried and People Loved Me Anyways. It's the story of events that led her life to completely fall apart, and she was literally ready to check out. However, through faith, self-forgiveness, and a lot of unconditional love, she moved from the depths of despair to living a truly authentic life. Lysa's mission through written word and spoken word is to inspire others to live full of passion, authenticity, and purpose. And so, Lysa, I'm going to spotlight you. And we're so glad to welcome you here today.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to come into your homes or wherever you may be. And thank you, David, again, for asking me to speak. So the title of my talk is Sticks and Stones May Break My Bones, but it's my own words that can really hurt me. So let's jump right into that. On most days during the spring and summer months, I love to ride my bike to the gym. It was only 2 miles from my house. It was a great way to get exercise. I could leave my car at home, and I always went the same way every day, just out of habit. But I had been thinking for a while about changing it up a bit just to do something different. So on Tuesday, July 18th, 2017, I left my apartment and I went up the hill to the first corner, and that's where I always turn right. And when I got to the corner on that day, I thought, you know what, let's make today the day to go straight. So I went straight, crossed over the street, was going downhill, not particularly fast, totally aware of my surroundings. And when I looked ahead, I saw what looked like rocks and gravel strewn across the sidewalk. And I realized later that in my attempts to avoid the rocks and gravel, I overcorrected by squeezing both brakes. The bike screeched to a halt. The back wheel reared up, and all I heard myself say was, and then just like in the movies, like when they're trying to show someone having a flashback or maybe an out-of-body experience, everything went white. And when the whiteness disappeared and life came back into focus, I found myself on the ground on all fours with most of my weight on my left arm. And due to the intense pain, it took me about 10 seconds to realize that I had probably broken that arm. To this day, I don't remember anything that happened in between the white. The only evidence I had that I had obviously gone over the handlebars and rolled was that my bike and my backpack were up on the sidewalk in front of me. I had road rash all over my body. And when I looked back at my helmet later, there were scratches where my head had obviously hit the ground. But fortunately, I could reach with my right arm, I could reach my backpack. I pulled out my cell phone and I called a friend who lived a couple of blocks later to come and help me. So after I hung up with her, I'm laying on the ground all by myself in intense pain. And the first thing that came to my mind was, Lysa, say your gratitude list. So I just started talking out loud, everything that I could think of. And I said, I'm on the sidewalk and not in the street. It's daytime and not nighttime. It's a sunny day and not raining. I'm only 2 miles from the hospital. I have health insurance. My friend who's coming to get me, she'll know exactly what to do. And the biggest thing on that gratitude list for me was, God is here. A man that was jogging by, some people who were driving down the street and saw me on the ground, and my friend that I had called all arrived right around the same time, and they called 911. So the police came, paramedics came, they put me on the stretcher, going into the ambulance to go to the hospital. And on the way, I said to the very cute, I might add, paramedics, I hadn't hit my head that hard that I missed that. I asked them if they would say that my gratitude list with me. And one of them said, well, what's a gratitude list? And I said, it's all the wonderful things I have to be grateful for, even while this is happening to me right now. So they were so cool and they jumped right in and said it with me. So once I got to the emergency room, I got the distressing news that I actually broken my left elbow. And I will spare you the gory details, which fortunately were going on out here that I really couldn't see very well, but I had to have surgery and right away. So as you might imagine, once I got home from the hospital, all drugged up, my arm wrapped from my shoulder all the way down to my wrist, that gratitude list was nowhere to be found. And to top it all off, many of the abilities I had, and I realized then that I had taken for granted, were suddenly taken away, even if only temporarily. Cooking, driving, brushing my hair, opening the toothpaste, changing my clothes, tying my shoes, everything was a challenge. Being grateful for what I could do had gotten lost in the shuffle. But that interconnectivity from our shoulder to our upper arm, our elbow, lower arm, wrist, hands, that is just like everything else in our life experience. Our finances, our career and creative self-expression, our spiritual awareness, our health, our relationships, everything is intricately linked. And when one of those things is undergoing a challenge or setback, the other ones are affected as well in some shape or form, even if we don't see it at first. And just to be clear, even when we are able to hold the high watch of our goodness, and life seems to be flowing along just fine, and we know that on many levels all is well, sometimes the challenge of being human catches up with us. In the early days of my recovery, I realized that what I was really suffering from was an overwhelming feeling of worthlessness. And what I was telling myself about those breaks in my arm was, see, you can't do anything right. Why did you decide to go a different way to the gym that day? The other way was working just fine. You always make bad decisions. All these problems you're having, they're all your fault. You're no good to anyone like this. Even after many, many years in New Thought spiritual community and doing lots of inner work, I was surprised to learn that the worthlessness I was feeling had little to do with the breaks in my arm and everything to do with my self-worth being tied to my old childhood stories, what other people had to say about me. And that feeling of worthlessness was apparently tied to what I could do. Having to rely on others to help me with even the basics was the bitter icing on top of the old crusty cake of my limiting victim stories. And those limiting victim stories we tell ourselves often run deep. As I see it now, when I unpacked literally and figuratively the backpack I was wearing that day, I had reached in, grasped onto those old childhood stories, pulled them out, and was saying them to myself about myself. Those old hurtful words. But the thing is, I would never say those words to anyone else for any reason. They are rude, not supportive, and do nothing other than to disparage the other person. Sticks and stones may break our bones, but it's our own words that can really hurt us. So I listen to different meditation teachers, and one of my favorites, her name is Sarah Blondin, and she has a podcast called Live Awake. And she describes what she does as lending a new outlook to some of life's hard landscape. And I really love that term, hard landscape, because yep, sometimes being human is hard. But nevertheless, she says, by choosing to live awake to all that blooms in front of us, we become conscious participants in our own life's unfolding. Some of you may have heard of, there's an app on the phone called Insight Timer. There's an app and there's also on a website. And you can go there and find some of her really, really good meditations. Her name is Sarah Blondin. And one of my favorites that she has is called Remembering Your Worth. And in it, she says, it's time to remember now that you, my dear one, were born worthy. I know you have been taught to search for this worth, taught to find ways to prove your value, find ways to be so that you are given. But dearest love, this was an accident. A teaching, she says, that was instilled in us by those lost to their beauty and given worth as well. So I learned from a counselor once that our interpretation of what an event means is self-created. And because of this, any event can support an unlimited number of interpretations. But part of our spiritual work is to raise the level of consciousness. And one way that we do that is through the New Thought teachings, where we're reminded of our God-given tools, the ones that we have always possessed. And we are shown how to and supported in using those tools to discover any limiting beliefs, reinterpret them, and give them new meaning. And once we raise the level of our consciousness, we then have something to build upon to instill those new beliefs. This is one of the things that makes this teaching so practical and usable, because practical spirituality is not just a Sunday experience. It's something that we use in practical ways every day that fit our individual lives. So if you're going to create a story, that counselor had told me, create one that is empowering, inspiring, and enriches your life. Now, one of the really beautiful parts of that bike accident experience for me was that even when I was not yet there in discovering, reinterpreting, and giving new meaning to those old limiting beliefs, there were plenty of people who already recognized the truth of who I am and showed up to support, nurture, and encourage me until I was ready to do it for myself. I received cards and letters and emails with good thoughts and prayers. And people volunteered to take me to the doctor so I couldn't drive. And they brought over lots of meals for my kids and I. And friends came over and they helped me dictate. They let me dictate while they typed so I could still turn in my writing assignments. And some showed up just to spend time with me, to bolster my spirits when I was feeling low, and to soothe my ills with healing touch. None of them saw me as broken or worthless, or that helping me was an imposition. Their gift was to be of service and to shower me with love. They showed up as light in my darkness, truth to help replace my fears. On my computer, I have an image of a practice, a Japanese practice called kintsukuroi, where they believe that if you, something that's broken, let's say a vase or something like that, that if you fill the cracks with gold or silver, it makes the piece more beautiful than it was before it was broken. And a great way to explain how you can apply this practice to your life is by something I once read. And it says, this feeling of confusion or brokenness that every human has felt at some time or another in our lives is a source of beauty and color and new reflections and possibilities. All the places where you've shattered can now reflect light and color where there was none. Now is the time to become something new, to choose a new whole. In our brokenness, we are unlimited. So I have a new arm now. I call it my new bionic arm. And if you were to look at an x-ray, you would see where there are pins placed in to stabilize the bones and then a metal plate holding it all together. So what I say now about those cracks, those old outdated stories is this. I am adventuresome and like to try new things. I am capable and smart. My vulnerability is one of my strengths. People love me for who I am, not what I can do. I am grateful for all the lessons and blessings in this experience. And at that metal plate, the one holding all those pins together, I say, I am worthy and I love myself just the way I am. You see, sticks and stones may break my bones, but I get to choose the words to tell my story, to accept the beauty in my shattering, to choose a new whole, and to speak the truth about the perfect expression of God that I am. So I have written an affirmation for us today. I think David has it there. And I'll say it first, and then from wherever you are, let's know this together. My words are powerful. In thought and action, I choose and use them wisely to speak the truth about who I am. So let's know this together out loud from wherever you are. My words are powerful. In thought and action, I choose and use them wisely to speak the truth about who I am. Namaste.
Lysa, that was beautiful. And thank you for that. I was going to play something else, but you've inspired me to play this one, which is about forgiving yourself. And I think that's a gateway to telling a new story. So here we go. So many years I've hidden, so many lies I've told, the ignorance of youth, or a woman too afraid of truth. So many things mistaken, so much guilt I hold, buried alive, a weight on my chest, stole my breath and I went cold. And how I long for the warmth of love, for the softer side of me. The time is now, I shall be free. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. I forgive, I forgive, I forgive, I forgive myself for everything. Expectations shattered, promises unkept. So many times I swore I'd change. Years go by and I'm still the same. And how I long for tenderness and grace at my own hands. I am the one, I understand. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. I forgive, I forgive, I forgive, I forgive myself for everything. Hey, hey, oh, yeah. Yes, the faith I had in myself turned to confusion. It's such a slow erosion. Seemed that hope and trust were just another couple illusions. But somewhere deep inside I realize I am worthy. I am somebody who can be relied on. So I'm gonna put my faith in me. I put my faith in me once again. I have found redemption. I put my faith in me. I put my faith in me once again. Oh, I have found redemption. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. Oh, I forgive. I forgive, I forgive, I forgive myself. I forgive, I forgive, I forgive, I forgive myself for everything. Okay, let's take 1 minute and everybody draw some inspiration from what Lysa was saying and just find that story that you're telling yourself that's time to just let go of. Because you know you deserve to not beat yourself up over whatever it is. I know that about you, for sure. And we're gonna let it go together. And you can sing with me or sing in your heart, either way. Here we go. I forgive myself. 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 One more time, let it go. I forgive myself. I forgive myself for everything, for everything. I forgive, I forgive, I forgive, I forgive myself.